Hello and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. This week I decided to take a little bit different approach and analyze bot workings and different matchups for each and, well, not every bot, but each bot I will feature this week. My first victim is Locutus, who is sitting on the top of the ladder, and after the match I will show the ladder and the rankings, but for now let's see how Locutus performs versus a Terran opponent, which is Ironbot in this case. It's starting with a standard opening with pylon and gateway, not much else you can do than taking the guess, and I'm wondering if Locutus has any custom macro in this case. By the way, Locutus's source code is open source, so you can just take a look at it, and the author Bruce Nielsen is quite helpful if you want to have a question about Locutus. Well, generally all bot authors happily talk about their children, so if you are interested in that, just join our community and ask your questions, but please no stupid ones. So with that in mind, a nice gate from Iron, and Locutus just seems to favor the Dragoon, early Dragoon out tactic. I don't see any other units from Locutus, and there is this gathering point. Let's slow this down because I want to analyze this behavior a little bit more. So as you can see, these Dragoons seem to have some kind of grouping, or at least let's say fire team or squad behavior, because they are kind of seem to be aware of their bodies, but not that much, and there is one in the back. Although it can be just that they are using the same scripts and behaving the same way, just very close to each other. There is this one shot then retreat micro, and that is like a frame perfect execution of how you can micro a Dragoon by exploiting the orders and stances and, well, everything the game has to offer. One shot retreat, and the vultures don't get a shot in, so that's very good. And in the meantime there is a shuttle and 3 Dark Templars. I wonder if the Dark Templars will enter the shuttle. Actually, yes, this will be a Dark Templar drop. So Locutus on the edge of the map, sneaking around with 1 shuttle and 3 Dark Templars inside it. At least 3 I saw embarking. And this is it. It would have been interesting, but it timed out. Maybe one of the bots crashed, maybe Iron conceded the match. Well, anyway, let's jump into the next analysis game. So Locutus in this time fighting against Purple Swarm, the Zerg bot by Dan Gant and a proud member of the Purple family. We can compare tactics Locutus employs in this case and, well, say smart things. So in the meantime, no rush from Purple Swarm, which is nice to see, because 4-pool rush bot, it's basically the simplest bot you can develop, and it's not that fun after a while. Nice walling off from Locutus, and as I saw, there was no scouting from Locutus's part, so maybe walling off with cannons is a default tactic against Zerg. Now this is not a perfect wall, that is so Zerglings can sneak in, but these 2 cannons are kind of decent early game defense. And in the meantime, PurpleWave just expanding, Purple Swarm, excuse me, just expanding to its natural. So do Locutus, who still does not have any combat units. And this surely is a 3rd cannon in progress. Oh yes, it is. Early Zerglings are out for Purple Swarm, and in the meantime more cannons are coming up. This seems to be a cannon, And to be honest, not much else. This is probably a blocking gateway. Yes, and Locutus just walling off and mining away happily. So, kind of turtling, nice walling off. I don't know if that's in custom code from Locutus part, or is he using some custom library, which are there not many of, but there is the BWEM and BWEB libraries for Terran analysis and walling off respectively. And yeah, common libraries are massively helpful for bot authors because they solve common sub-problems that sooner or later every bot author encounters, and you just don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. That is not to say that you can't improve on these tools or write a better one, but as always, bot author time is very limited, and you would much rather work on something that improves on your win rate. And while I was talking, a Zealot and 2 Dragoons were out. Nice positioning of the Dragoons, not venturing out too much, even though Locutus did lose his Zealot, and nice back and forth micro for the Dragoons. They even spread out into different directions in a 90-degree angle, but that's probably just a coincidence. Although if you want to spread out, you want to go as many different directions as you possibly can. And oh, this Dragoon is basically performing a run-by, so to speak, and just scouting here, taking a few pot shots. I think you should do that more because you are not threatened here. The Sunken's just outside of the range of the Dragoon if it stays here. Meanwhile, this Dragoon is in trouble because the Zerglings are out, and they are out for blood. A few Mutalisks which are nice but not really threatening to one Dragoon, while they are by their lonesome. Grouped up they can be threatening, but usually Dragoons win that matchup. And nice concaving from Locutus. I wonder if he keeps the unit collisions in mind when microing the Dragoons. And let me slow this down and take a look at the base. It looks like it's just an all-out make as many Dragoons as I possibly can type of build from Locutus, and that's not entirely correct because a Stargate and a Citadel of Adun is already in construction, in progress, in warping, doing the bluey Vimy thingy. Pick one you like. So suffering a little bit of setback, but the cannons back up these fine Dragoons finally. Excuse me for the repetition, but it seems to be that Purple Swarm is a little bit up, taking this third mineral only base, but if you mostly use Zerglings, then taking a mineral only is a wise choice, and it is inside of the borders of Purple Swarm land, so this is not directly threatened, although 2 Sunkens is a meager defense. And Purple Swarm not really building anything else, just the Zerglings and Mutalisks, which might not be the best versus this Dragoon Swarm. And the Dragoon Micro is still excellent, a nice spreading out, as you can see. And I wonder if Locutus is making anything else. Yes, Templars. I haven't seen Templars much from Locutus. Maybe it's a late or later game strategy. And in the meantime, Scourges are getting built from Purple Swarm's side. I wonder why, because I don't see any flying unit from Locutus. Oh no, there are 2 Corsairs. Never mind, there were 2 Corsairs, so the use of Scourge is justified. I wonder if Scourge is the plural form of Scourge. That sounds stupid, but that does not mean it's not true. So, yeah, the Mutalisks don't dare to enter the base. Yeah, they do. And try to skirmish, but that's not how you do it versus cannons. These Archons are out. I thought Locutus will be using Templars and Storm, but alas, he does not. Archons are out. They are doing damage versus the Mutalisks, and Locutus is in the forward base, not really threatened by anything. Corsair gets popped every now and then, but it seems that Locutus just outproduced Purple Swarm in Corsairs, and Purple Swarm is kinda low on resources as well. That means that this game is basically over. I don't see any coming back, so with that I call the GG, and let's jump into a PvP game for Locutus. And here we are, Locutus versus Banana Brain, two excellent Protoss bots, and let's see who will win and how. Banana Brain is usually a top bot on the ladder as well, so this is not a match that is easily decided. And I wonder if there is anything different. Well, there should be, but will we see anything similar to the PvZ or PvT build? Scouting probes are out for both players. Let's speed this up, because this is usually not very interesting. Locutus getting found out, and there is two more possibilities, where exactly one, because if the enemy is not here, then it can be only one other place. And it seems that the production tab is basically identical. Pylon, cybernetics core, another pylon, and Citadel of Adon for Locutus. That probably means Zealots, or maybe a quick Dark Templar rush. I don't know, let's see. First Dragoon is out, and first Dragoon is out for Banana Brain as well, while the second Dragoon, basically the two players are kind of equal in strength at the moment, same amount of workers, one more Dragoon, which is not really a deciding factor at this point. And no expansion for Banana Brain. Yeah, there is the Dark Templars, there are the Dark Templars. And I wonder if Banana Brain is prepared. No, he is not, although there are few cannons. These Dark Templars can wreak havoc, and they can easily shut down this expansion, but that's not what they are doing. They are trying to sneak into the worker line, unsuccessfully, I might add. This is probably a cannon in production, two cannons in production, and no, that was a pylon. So these Dark Templars don't really know what they are doing, it seems. That is weird, that is very weird. Locutus, you should not bug out your Dark Templars like this. Or maybe they are just gathering for some greater sneaking opportunities, but they could shut down a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I'm not sure this is intended behavior. In the meantime, this expansion is getting shut down nicely. I don't know what is the expected behavior here. A lot of Dragoons for Banana Brain, and the first observers out, so the Dark Templar strength is diminished. They basically not a factor anymore, but is Locutus still producing them? No, not anymore. Nice switch, but he is a bit of a pickle. He is in a bit of a pickle. Sorry, Locutus, you are not a pickle. So, and while having not as much Dragoons as Banana Brain, well, he is quite well off since he's taking his third base. Banana Brain trying to take the natural, and I think this time he will succeed. I call the bots him, or as generally as I imagine them being male, but that's just a convenience thing, and don't think anything about it, and that's just convenient for me. And if you have any problems with me not using the correct pronouns for your bots, please contact me, and I will probably forget that, but yeah. So back to the game, and this nice Dragoon back and forth going on, and it seems to me that Locutus is getting a little bit better off from these exchanges, and Locutus seems to pull the wounded dragoons back and maybe engaging with them more carefully. This might be just a coincidence here. Well, pulling back the zealots does not help. Yeah, probably was just a coincidence, but as you can see, I would bet that the micro is a little bit better for Locutus. The action is really fast, so I don't really count the losses on either side, but yeah, it seems that with two armies equaling in dragon strength, Locutus emerges victorious. And maybe he's just outproduced the enemy, I don't know. I need to take a more thorough look into these engagements, and quite frankly I'm too lazy to do that. So yeah, Locutus's build for PvP seems to be one dragon, then quick Dark Templar rush, try to shut down their everything, then just more dragons until your nose bleeds. And well, it seems to be working. This river is not accomplishing much, and oh no, the dragoon contingent is in your base. Now the river is blasting away, but it is not enough. Oh, Banana Brain, you are in trouble. And yeah, more dragoons just streaming in. Nice macro from Locutus. Absolute horrible number of gateways here. Well, sometimes brute strength is the answer, or as they say, if brute force is not the answer, you are not using enough. This is greatly exemplified here, as Locutus just not relenting and streaming the dragoons and newly minted Dark Templars here, and Banana Brain is just out, can't replenish its army, can't kill these dragoon boys. And that's it. Nice PvP from Locutus. GG. So the next stop of our analysis train, and I'm not making the obvious joke here, is PurpleWave, another Protoss bot, and currently also standing quite high on the ladder. And let me just pull up the ladder rankings for a minute, and as you can see, Locutus is first, PurpleWave is second, then McRave, Haupen, Crazio Protoss, Steamhammer, Ironbot, Banana Brain, Purple Destiny, Purple Spirit, Proxy, Cherry Pie, MicroWave, Crix, Cox, TSCMO and Dragon. And that is quite enough for now. Let's return to the game, and let's see what these gentle bots will do. And PurpleWave is starting out with the gateway then gas build, at least that's hope that's a gateway, yes it is. While Ability is just happily barracksing around, that is a thing, look it up. And the PvT meta is, I don't know actually, reverse probably. What I know is going bio versus a Protoss is not gonna pay off in the long run, but just by having one barracks we can't deduce properly that this gonna be a bio build. And bunker is being built, so maybe Marines are just built for defense. And yeah, first Dragoon is out. Yeah, that's not a favorable matchup for the Terran, although one Dragoon is not that much. And let me slow this down. Nice contain from PurpleWave. Cybernetic score expansion, looks like only dragoons up to this point. The ability is just defending at the moment, but Terran can get away with having one or two bases a little bit longer than other races. Generally that's the consensus, and this is not an engagement that is favorable for ability. So medics have arrived, that is a more favorable thing. And no, you should not make fire bats versus dragoons, that is a bad choice. And yes, the fire bat is just looking around, and he's gonna die unceremoniously, I know. Not much as probability is just using a hard-coded build, like PurpleWave, who is using maybe a different hard-coded build, but probably one of the few he uses versus Terran, or maybe he has some kind of opponent learning. I need to watch and analyze more PurpleWave matches to determine that accurately. And this little bio contingent, well, it destroyed 2 dragoons, but that's all they did. Now they are on the run. I don't know if that second, yeah, probably the dragoons outrange the bunkers, and yeah, judging by the engagement ranges here, they outrange Marines. So you should, do we have an academy? Yeah, we should have an academy. So Marine range upgrade is possible, but I don't know if it is present. We only have stim packs, also known as insulin for man, but no range upgrade so far. In the meantime, carrier upgrades are coming for PurpleWave, excuse me. Another base that raises the number of bases to 3. And this is quite a macro advantage, and carriers are on the way. Carriers are actually named after carrier pigeons who can deploy up to 8 hatchlings to attack their enemies. People don't really know that because they were outlawed after the First World War, and that's how the Protoss got the idea. But anyway, the 3 carriers out, but only 4 interceptors, although they can effectively harass this segment right here. Marines are not a very good counter versus carriers unless you have absolutely a lot of them, but they shoot down a few interceptors every now and then. Maybe PurpleWave should engage a little bit sparingly with his carriers. In the meantime, Vulture and Tank land army is on the move, but they are famously incapable of shooting at air targets. They are famously capable of making blue soup also, so that is a good choice. I wonder why PurpleWave is not attacking not prioritizing the tanks with the carriers. I mean, if you have something that shoots at you like a Goliath, you should prioritize that, but these tanks are undefended and you can just snipe them down, and the other units are mostly just singular bio units like Marines and Firebats, and they are not really a concern. Your dragoons can handle them perfectly fine. Goliaths getting made surely in a response to this carrier threat, but even if you can push them back macro-wise, PurpleWave is ahead, and now the land army is just coming in. PurpleWave having the right half of the map, and now this bottom base, it is not something you can win. I think PurpleWave had not really adaptive tactic, just won this game by macro, which is not to say that it's not an accomplishment. Like I said, I'm just analyzing what's happening, and well, yeah, the critical mass of carriers has just been achieved, and GG. Let's see how PurpleWave performs versus Zerg. And PurpleWave's Zerg opponent is Brian Weber here, who is, I think, a macro Zerg, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what is the opening and other tactics. Quick pylon in the natural, maybe a quick expansion is in the works for PurpleWave, and quick expansion is definitely in the works for Brian Weber. And yes, both players taking the natural before even making a single combat unit. Spawning pool on the way. That should be a spawning pool. No, that's second hatchery for Brian Weber. That is very interesting, as there is no spawning pool, so Brian Weber can't make combat units, but already having 3 hatcheries. That is a strange opening, but it can pay off. In the meantime, nice walling off little bit of turtling by PurpleWave. I quite like how these cannons are arranged. So versus Zerg, it's a more conservative playstyle, even though the Zerg is scouted. I think Brian Weber's build is a little bit unusual, so PurpleWave just defaulted to something safe and reliable. First Zealot is out. I don't see any static defenses. Yeah, first few Zerglings are coming out, 8 to be precise, and trying to chase down this one Zealot with their drone buddies, which is nice, and you should do that, but this tactic kind of assumes that the Zealots won't retreat, I feel, because the drones should come off the line if you want to defend, but should not pursue the enemy, because you just lose mining time and die very easily, because these poor hover crabs are fragile creatures. And in the meantime, the Zerglings have reached PurpleWave's main base. I wonder, yes, they can get out here, these Dragoons. It seems to me that this is too narrow of a choke for Dragoon boys, but no, it is not. They are throwing their balls to the little puppies who unfortunately catch them and die, but Brian Weber is just moving in and out, which is not something you should do if you are not a ranged unit and your enemy is. Losing a lot of Zerglings to these somewhat microed Dragoons. And then as I can see, PurpleWave is not really making anything else, but hey, if it works, then you should do it. And that is to say, I see Overlord sight upgrade, Zerg speed upgrade, and now Overlord speed upgrade. This is a weird order of upgrades, and yeah, first few Mutalisks getting out, taking the fourth base maybe. I think that's the reason why this drone is sneaking about, but the Dragoon count is very alarming, and you only have 10 army supply, and that 10 army supply is not really units that can counter this Dragoon ball here. Shuttle is coming in, probably with a Reaver. Yes, PurpleWave has a Reaver, and not getting, yeah, well, the Reaver is getting dropped, but the shuttle is killed. But at this point, PurpleWave just can just march their stuff in, march his stuff in. And I think PurpleWave has this army group here, the Dragoon army group, and other independent agents such as the Reaver and Shuttle combo. At least that's what I remember from the explanation of Dangant on the forums, well, Discord rather, and yeah, not really doing anything else. Oh no, a second Reaver is out, a second Shuttle is out. Maybe this time it will be different, the Reavering to revenge, but probably not, because these Dragoons are already won the game for PurpleWave, and well, it's not over technically, but I don't really see nice Overlord movement from Brian Weber. I don't really see how this can be won for Brian Weber. Another base for PurpleWave, maybe taking this one. No, they're not taking this one yet. So yeah, it seems to be PurpleWave's Zerg tactic is just make a lot of Dragoons, well, Gateway Army to be precise, because there were a few Zealots and there were one Expeditionary Shuttle Reaver combo. Well, there were multiple, but one at a time. I don't know if that's part of the tactic or just something PurpleWave does randomly or for the hell of it, but nevertheless this Mass Dragoon tactic has paid off, and let's see how a PurpleWave will perform against a Protoss opponent. And the next matchup, it's PurpleWave versus TSCMO. Let's see how PurpleWave's Protoss versus Protoss game is. In the meantime, I was lucky enough to receive some guidance from none other than Dangan, the author of PurpleWave himself, and he explained a few things about PurpleWave's inner workings. So basically, PurpleWave uses different squads and these squads all have some goal in mind, like attack or scout or defend this base. This in turn is compounded by this mechanic that determines that the units all should fight or not. I could just have said combat simulator because this is what it is. So a combat simulator which groups units based on proximity is just a nearest neighbor lookup, and even if those units belong to different squads, the algorithm decides the fight or flight response for those units. So in the meantime, a little bit of turtling from Purple. Purple turtle sounds good. I wonder why there is not a bot called that. And exactly one zealot for PurpleWave. And yes, I do realize that TSCMO is the turtling one and not PurpleWave. So a little bit of turtling going on from TSCMO's part, and in the meantime, one zealot is still out, cybernetic score for TSCMO, and a forge for PurpleWave. And is this? No, this is a pylon, this is a nexus, there is the forge. Presumably there will be cannons, and then there will be blood. And will we see dragoons anytime soon from TSCMO? I don't actually know. I don't see a Citadel of Adon is coming up. That suggests to me that a Dark Templar is on the run, but maybe it's just a zealot lacks speed. Why is that such a hard word? Lack speed. Yeah. So when the research of Zealot Lag Day is complete, they will be fast. And yeah, Templar archives that suggest Dark Templars or me, or to me, or not Dark Templars. Anyway, all Templars are beautiful, so we don't should not discriminate between them. And some kind of Templars will come up. In the meantime, more cannons, some cannons. I don't know which building is this. Seems to be another gateway. It would be really helpful if this tooltip could say which kind of building are we dealing with, but we might deduce it from the production tab anyway. So, and this might be an excessive amount of cannons, and yeah, first Dark Templar is out and on the run, trying to kill this unit, and that probe tries to escape. And in bot versus bot matches, you can actually see invisible units. You just can't target them with attacks. That is, if those invisible units move or attack. In practice, this is not really useful. It's just it's a helpful shortcut for bots themselves. And I wonder what these guys doing here, because they seem to try to group on this one little zealot here. Maybe he's the most popular girl in school or something, but no. They are out, and the first observer is out, so there is no need to fear anymore. And do I see four? Yes, 4 Dark Templars here, and TSCMO is now on a bit of a pickle, and he himself is not a pickle, as I learned, and then the Dark Templars are retreating under base for TSCMO, and there are little bits of skirmish going on here, but PurpleWave is defending this base. So that's the third base getting taken, and the fourth is in progress. Yeah, maybe this cannon amount wasn't that excessive, because these dragoons are not breaking it just yet, although they could overwhelm this. And yeah, TSCMO is a little bit behind. Just having one cannons on your expansions not gonna defend them. Well, the same is true for PurpleWave, I guess, who just got a few workers killed. So these Dark Templars are still useful for something. And yeah, let's see what is happening on the front lines. This squad seems to travel all around the world, which is okay, and there is not Dark Templar, just a regular one. And we see storms, yes we do, and PurpleWave is not dodging them at the moment. And just as I learned the micro behavior, I learned that PurpleWave also uses some kind of learning and map information to pick a strategy to execute. Then didn't really elaborate on the learning, and I didn't ask in more detail, but I assume that this is some kind of per opponent learning, as you have a set amount of bots on the ladder and you can form individual strategies against them. In fact, I think that's what you should aim for. And yeah, back to the engagement. A lot of zealots getting killed. Storm is kind of missing. The dragoons just ran through. I don't actually know if PurpleWave has a storm dodge micro. He probably has, but it is hard to tell because storms are not that long, and if the unit is in the middle of the attack, he can't well retreat. TSCMO is staging a little bit of comeback, it seems to me, and there are Templars on both sides, so who casts the storm is absolutely unfollowable at this point. At least it will be if both sides are using Templars in the same place. This is turning out to be a great all across the map engagement. PurpleWave is kind of successful in defending its long front lines. TSCMO is probing in, picking off stragglers, so this is hard to follow because so many things happening in so many places, and all the map seem to be moving. There is the main engagement. The Dragoon group is, yeah, this storm has just missed, and these are PurpleWave's Templars getting boiled in the face by the Dragoons, and yeah, that's pretty much the exchange seem pretty much equal, to be honest, and Dragoons are not clearing up the Nexus. That is an interesting behavior. Maybe they will eventually, they just always found something else to shoot at. And the bigger problem for TSCMO is he is soon out of resources in its main, getting another base, but that's not up yet. This base is mining, natural is mining, so it is not a problem just yet, but TSCMO is not, it's very low on money and not maxed out like PurpleWave, who is just gathering minerals and making a bank. So macro wise, it seems that PurpleWave is ahead, and yeah, TSCMO is just getting cornered here. I almost missed the main engagement. Storms from both sides. Well, I think it was both from PurpleWave's side, but I can't really tell. It's hard to tell which Templar cast which. But yeah, it is just unstoppable at this point. PurpleWave can replenish its losses. TSCMO is just scrambling to get enough resources and not really having any reserves. Although this attack is pushed back, let me speed this up just a tiny bit. I think this is basically decided now. Where is PurpleWave's army? There is PurpleWave's army, and there is an Arbiter out. The Arbiter will use Stasis, as we saw before. Maybe right now, right there. No, that's not a Stasis worthy opponent, or maybe they just don't have enough energy. Yes, it's the latter. And yeah, the natural getting pushed in, and like I said, TSCMO just can't replenish the losses. There was absolutely no storm dodging from these poor Dragoons. This is interesting, and yeah, I think we should call the GG at this point. Not much left of this match. No mining going on, or no significant mining going on for TSCMO. This base is for PurpleWaves. So Yeah, it seems that Dragoon's Zealots Gateway army transitioned into Arbiters is the strategy PurpleWave picked right here. And with that, let's examine our next top bot. Next up on the bot analysis list it is McRave, and let's start with a Protoss versus Protoss match, and its opponent is a MegaBot this time. McRave is kind of famous for his game-breaking bugs and well features in some of the tournaments, but other than that it is a quite accomplished bot and always placed in the top quarter of the student StarCraft AI tournament ladder. And MegaBot is actually, I think it's an amalgamation of other bots, but I'm not entirely sure, or maybe that's Chimera bot. Anyway, let's see what these bots will do. The openings are quite similar, Assimilator and Gateway. Then MegaBot is making a cybernetic score, while I wonder what McRave is doing. And that's pylon. McRave spends his money on something, but I'm not sure what it was. Cybernetic score coming up for McRave, and he scouted the enemy base. The scouting probe is still mucking around, seeing the first Dragoon and trying to escape unsuccessfully. Rest in peace, dear probe, you will be never forgotten. So cybernetic score is out for McRave along with the first Zealot, but there is one Zealot for McRave and one Dragoon for MegaBot. The Dragoon or Dragoons now standing in a weird place, maybe trying to pass or guard this way around, but they are not very successful because you can't pass this. These terrain elements are actually stacked together with the map editing tool. I think it's a 10 of this power generator or whatever thingy, and you can destroy them, but it is a much easier fit splash damage. And scouting drone doing the dance here. And this behavior might be because drones are hovering units and such, they need a little bit of time to get up to top speed and accelerate. Now if they stay in motion they don't need to do that, so they can basically use their full speed when they are starting out. And you can see this behavior with a lot of units, especially air units, that they never actually stop moving. In the meantime, the first engagement in the middle of a map is going on, and even though MegaBot is having the more army, the micro seems to be better for McRave, not staying out of the enemy Dragoon range and just whittling down the Zealots and dividing and conquering the enemy Dragoon army. I mean, at this point McRave lost one Dragoon, I think, one or two, and MegaBot lost all of his, so excellent micro. First shuttle, and that usually means a river. Yes, there is a river inside that shuttle presumably, and don't see it anywhere else. And the kiting is going on still. Nice river hit, but your river is under attack. Pick it up, yes, you did pick it up. Nice concave from the Dragoons, and the Zealots can get very few hits in. And as you can see, the Dragoon versus Dragoon micro is in the favor of McRave this time, although you can't really micro down these enemy river, and McRave wisely stays away from doing so. Well, not every time. One thing you can do is not giving your enemy the advantage of splash damage, and if you have to send your units into that, you should do that one by one, because then the splash damage is not that cost efficient. But I don't think that is what McRave is doing right here, right now. He's just accepting the losses and sending the army in. And there are two bases. No, there's only one base for McRave. Two bases for MegaBot, so MegaBot is even out macroing McRave at this point. But to be fair, this base is not mining right now, and it seems to be that now it never will. This river shuttle combination is excellent, and McRave just cautiously advancing, and MegaBot is just throwing away his drones, I think, and that costs him the match. Let's speed this up because there are no drones and no attacking units and no money. So GG McRave, let's see how you will fare against a Zerg opponent. And the Zerg opponent for McRave is Zerg, and Zerg is a macro Zerg, and maybe McRave will pull some very sneaky tactics only seen here, right now, only here, and whatever late night commercials say. So that's a gateway, I think. Yes, it is. Scouting probe and drone scouting each other. There is not much you can do versus that. Stealing the gas, very nicely done, and especially in this matchup this can be crucial, but well, in every matchup this can be crucial, so I'm not entirely correct in that. And these are sunkens, surely, yes. First zealot coming in quickly. Oh, that's not good. What are you doing, McRave? This back and forth micro is not good. I wonder why that is. Maybe the combat simulator getting different results frame by frame. Again, the McRave PurpleWave is going on, and I did that when I was a kid, and it was fun, and also I was a weird kid, but this probe is doing it for other reasons, and not much else is happening. The gas is still stolen. McRave just picked the go all in with zealots tactic, I think. And the first few counter Hydras are out. Hydras are okay versus zealots if they are faster, especially, but it is not what you want. Spitting on this drone finally, and let's see how this engagement will go. This is basically boiling down to micro at this point, and yeah, the Hydras have speed, so they have the advantage here. They basically can just run away, and McRave is going back and forth yet again. This is not a good microing of your zealots, McRave. I wonder why McRave is not killing this gas eating thing, extractor. Yeah, I just didn't remember the name. And even though I wanted to cast a game when McRave effectively wins the game, this might not be the case because McRave just zealots is not working. So we don't see the PVZ build McRave employs here, and I don't know if this gas still changed anything. So I think I will just pick another PVZ with McRave, and let's compare it to the results of this game. I mean, it's not over yet, but it's kind of over yet. So yeah, these Hydras just blasting down everything. Every now and then a few zealots come out, but they don't even get to attack most of the time. They try to reach the enemy base, I think, but yeah. So GG Zerg, you found the weak link in the chain of that is of McRave, and let's have another PVZ with McRave then. So this time it is KillAll, and it is a weaker bot while a lower standing bot on the ladder, to be entirely fair to this gentle bot. And let's see if anything changes and maybe McRave performs a little bit better. Right at the start, this is a forward pylon, which we did not see in the previous matchup, and this is surely a forge. Yes, this is a forge. So McRave is building or planning a turtling kind of build, rightfully so, because the first few Zerglings are already out, Oh no, is this a 4 pull bot or 5 pull bot? Yes, this is a 5 pull bot, or at least executing a 5 pull build right here, right now, folks. And probably I'm guessing that McRave has some built-in learning and learned that the opponent is prone to employing the 5 pull build or early Zergling rush, and you should just prepare for that. And yeah, folks, this is something you should do. Map your opponent, find the weak points, and adapt. This not necessarily means that you have to have learning in your bot. I know that this sounds controversial, but there are a lot of highly advanced if statements that you can make, and you can just keep track of your enemy's units tactic or whatever. A lot of bots do this differently anyway, and having learning and having good results on the ladder are not entirely coincident, or how could I say that it's not a causal relationship. There are very good bots who that use hard-coded builds and use them well. With that little digression, let's return to the game. McRave defending the natural, and because 5 pull is not a good bet for your long-term economy, this is just a matter of time until McRave decides to have enough army and just move out. I think that is my prediction, so I just sped this up, and yeah, Templars are out, which are great if you can storm the stuff effectively. Zealots and Dark Templars, they just mop up this base unceremoniously. GG, and next up it is Terran versus McRave. And the Terran opponent for McRave is Haupen, who is a quite an accomplished Terran bot on its own right, and a successor of Iron Bot, who was a champion in its time as well. So let's see. First up, it's the scouting probe as always, but it is walled out, and maybe this SCV can even kill it, and although that might go the other way. I don't know, I don't see the HP on these SCV, so yeah, nice walling out just in time for Haupen. And in the meantime, a gateway and the semantic score is coming up. Versus Terran, an early Dragoon pressure is advantageous because you can easily outrange your enemy's marines, and you can just blast down bunkers or force them to repair and thus spend their money a lot. First marine is out, nice walling and gate here for Haupen. And I wonder what will these be? Probably supply depots, nothing exciting as of yet. No, a supply depot and a factory, so Haupen is working on a quick mecha build. Second factory coming up, so probably first one will pump out vultures and the second will research the tank and other upgrades. And the second base getting taken from McRave, and that's always a good thing. This probe is making some trouble scouting and probably denying the second base at the natural for Haupen. This marine can easily chase away that probe. I wonder why is it not doing so. First vulture is out and the first tank is on progress. Vulture making short work of the worker. And will we see an expansion here? I don't know, not yet. That SCV is behaving weirdly, but the scouting probe is not a good idea anymore. Vulture can't do anything much, but shutting down the few probes, the Vulture already made its cost back, although you shouldn't wander into Dragoon range. What you should do is shoot down the scouting SCVs. Yeah, this Vulture behavior is not the best. Nice concave from McRave, and the Dragoons are very good in early PvT matches until the tank count rises. I wonder why this tank is placed right here, because it definitely does not have vision to this place, at least usually not. Maybe Haupen is planning to giving him vision, or maybe Haupen is not taking the wall into account when sieging up tanks, I don't know, and these are just speculations. As usual, I'm not saying these bots do or not do something. I just say that's what I think they are doing, because even if you know the source code, even if it's your own bot, you can be wrong about these things. So if something does not seem right, then it probably isn't. Nice mining up, but there is an observer, so this will slow down McRave at best. And the Dragoon Ball is advancing. Now they encounter the tanks, which is the first major stopping point for them, and they just overrun them. But that is a dangerous and costly affair, especially when the approach to the tank is mined up, and 3 or 4 Dragoons exchanged for 2 or 3 tanks, I don't know. So it's a kind of an equal exchange at this point. And now comes the hard part. Although no more tanks, no, just this one tank for Hopen. And it seems the tactic is strong early pressure for McRave. And this is not decided yet. Oh, that tank dies. Now it's looking grim for Hopen, especially because his natural is under siege. And although this tank placement is nice, the Dragoons can't fire back, so Hopen is standing valiantly, but I feel this is just not enough. Only 1 tank, 2 tanks, but they are not very effective at this point. I mean, they are, but they are just overwhelmed. But they seem to push back these Dragoons a little. The problem is McRave has Hopen contained and already has 3 bases up and mining, while Hopen is struggling to get his 2nd base up. But this can still change, there is still hope. I wonder if McRave is doing anything else. No, it's Gateway Army all the way. And yeah, the Zealots will make short work of the tanks if they can reach them. Maybe we will see some Zealot drops as well, also aptly named as Doom drops, but I don't see any shuttles on the map. Hopen is on the move, finally breaking the contain, although this Dragoon contingent can easily overrun this amount of tanks. And they are appearing to be trying just that unsuccessfully, but there are the Zealots. Oh no, there are the Zealots. That will be the bigger problem for Hopen, although Hopen excellently broke out. Now the tanks are in a vulnerable position. They even get the mines dragged into them, and although the Zealots are thinned down by the mines, it is just not enough. It is just too much. McRave wins this by macro. McRave is almost maxed out, while Hopen is struggling to keep up even just a few tanks. So the answer is versus Hopen, McRave just going macro and Gateway Army all the way. I mean, it works, and I kind of sad to see Hopen losing here, because the tank placement and other stuff was, well, just great. But maybe next time you should place a wall right here. That could have prevented some of this, although I don't want to speculate much. But back to McRave's PvT tactics. Yeah, it seems quite simple, at least versus Hopen. Oh, there is an shuttle and a few Templars out, but they don't make any difference by now. So quite simple, Gateway Army and macro out your opponent. And as a wise man once said, StarCraft is basically about having more stuff than the enemy, and McRave just accomplished that. Thank you, and GG McRave. Thank you for watching this week's broadcast. My name is Shonko, and I have a site called makingcomputerdothings.com, where I blog about bot development and have a podcast about the same topic. Check it out if you're interested. Thanks again, and goodbye.